Alright, here is how to perform the automatic adjustment on Sony MZ-R90. Actually, I'm going to use a little bit of cooking show magic here and skip ahead to a disassembled mainboard, because unfortunately this is what we are going to start with this device. You need to have the service manual at hand because we'll be following it closely. So the first step is to put your device in service mode. So when you have just the mainboard, the only way to do it is to solder the test point, which on this device is located here. And once it's soldered, the device will automatically start in service mode. So I'm just going to apply power. And as you can see, we are now in the service mode. So the reason why we have to do this is because unfortunately some of the test points that we need are on this side of the board, so we need to disassemble it completely. On other devices the test points might be on the opposite side, so you might only need to remove the back cover. Alright, so following the service manual, the first step is to clear the memory. So to do that we go to Manual 21. This is RSNVCC. CC indicates that it's a little routine that will run once we start it. So we press pause. It will ask us if we are sure that we want to reset the device, and if we press pause again, the settings will be cleared. So this is actually a point of no return. Once you've done this, you have to go through the remaining steps of this procedure, otherwise the device won't work correctly. In fact, it will even refuse to start normally. It will just keep starting in service mode until the steps are finished. So once you have cleared the memory, we can move on to the power adjustments. So for the power adjustments, we go to 762. So this is the voltage adjustments. And we go, the first item that we need to check, I'm just going to have a look in the service manual. Yeah, so the first item is 762, which is VCL PWM, and the service manual instructs us to measure the voltage between the ground and test point 915. So I'm just going to put my voltage meter in DC mode, and we measure the voltage. So the ground on this device is here, and the test point 915 is here, and this is supposed to be 2.5 volt, which is exactly right on mark, so no adjustment is necessary. Then we move on to the next item, which is 763, then 764, 765. So for example, 765, we are supposed to see 2.75 between those 2 points. And it's 2.74, which is within range, so again no adjustment is necessary. If we wanted to adjust it, we can just use the volume rocker to move it up by one value, confirm by pressing pause, and now it should have gone up a little bit. Let's have a look. And it's now 2.752, which is actually closer to the reference, so we're going to leave it like that. So there are six such settings in total on this device. On other devices it may be a different number. So 762 through 767, and once all those adjustments are finished, the power adjustment is complete. So once we do that, we need to reassemble the device. So once again, I'm going to use some cooking show magic to keep this video short and sweet. So I'm switching back to my reassembled MZ-R90. I'm going to power it on. And here you can see that it started already in service mode because the auto adjustment procedure hasn't been finished yet. So once we do the power adjustment, the next thing to do is the temperature correction. The temperature correction is actually quite simple. We go to, again, manual, then 014, which is set temp, and it currently shows 14. The value is expressed as a hexadecimal, so this is in fact 20 degrees Celsius. In my room currently it's 23 degrees, so I'm going to move this value up by 3 and confirm by pressing pause. And that's the temperature calibration done. If we go to 015, which is display temperature, it shows 17 degrees, which is 70 hexadecimal, so it's 22 degrees Celsius, which is fine. After the temperature correction, we need to check the laser power. So for that, I'm actually going to use my laser power meter, which is pre-calibrated for this device. So I'm going to turn it on and check the reference values. So for MZ-R90 there are 3 values that need to be checked. There is the LREF, which is used for reading pre-recorded MDs, HREF, which is used for playback of recordable MDs, and read, which is used for recording. To keep it short, I'm just going to check the first 2. Alright, so actually let's begin with the LREF. Let's have a look at the meter. I have 2 green LEDs blinking, so the LREF value is in range. Let's check the HREF value. HREF value is also fine, so no adjustment here is necessary. Then we can move on to the actual auto adjustment. So for that we need to begin with with a pre-recorded MD. And using the service menu, we press the backward button, and it says ASSY11. 11 means that the assessment has not been done yet. Until this clears, the device will refuse to start normally. So once we press play, it will begin the first half of the adjustment process, which is adjusting for pre-recorded MDs. So this process is fully automated. You can see that the numbers on the left-hand side are changing, so the device goes through different settings and attempts to auto-calibrate them. This process may take a couple minutes. It depends on the device. For some devices it's very quick, almost instantaneous. On this particular device it takes a while, so I'm going to cut here and come back when this auto-calibration process is finished. Okay, we are back. So the first half of the auto-adjustment routine has completed. The display shows CD OK. Now we remove the pre-recorded MD and we insert a recordable MD. This preferably should be a blank, because the device will actually attempt to write some data on it and then read it back, so whatever we have on the disk will be lost. So we insert the recordable MD, and once again we press play, and it automatically detects that a magneto-optical disk has been inserted and begins the second half of the auto-adjustment routine. So once again you can see the different items being calibrated one by one, and this will also take a couple minutes, so I'm going to cut again and come back in a little bit. Alright, a few minutes later the second half of the adjustment routine is finished. The remote shows magneto-optical OK. So the last thing to do, according to the service manual, we are supposed to go to manual 41, I think, or is it 43? There it is, 43. Resume CC, and once we run this routine, the auto adjust by pressing pause again, and the auto adjustment is completed. So at this point, I should probably also mention that once you reassemble the device, it's a good idea to remove the solder joint on this test point shown earlier. And when it's done, once you remove power and power the device again, it will now start normally, and hopefully it will work much better.